Today's workshop is called Tadabbor Beyond Arabic. And this is a provocative title, because some people think that if I write that, then I'm discouraging people from learning Arabic. Of course, I'm not discouraging people from learning Arabic. Of course, the Quran is only in Arabic, definitely. But until we learn Arabic, we cannot postpone benefiting from the Quran. I came here to live here 3 years ago, and I met some people who read the Quran every single day. And they learned Arabic only to the extent that makes them able to put letters next to each other, just to read the Quran like that, but they don't have any clue what it means. And I have met someone who told me that she has been reading the Quran for 30 years, every single day, for about 1 hour. And when I asked her, which translation did you read before? She said, I never read any translation. I have no clue what this book is about. I said, why are you reading it every day? She said, to bring barakah to my life. So barakah became, for many people, good luck. Barakah equals good luck for some people. Barakah is not good luck. The Quran is not an amulet. It's not there to be used like, decades ago in this country, people were putting the horseshoes on the door to ward off evil spirits and bad omen. And the Quran is not for that. The barakah of the Quran, or the blessing of the Quran, comes when we read it, understand it, ponder its messages, and apply it in our life. This brings barakah. That's why I made a research. And that's what I am going to show you today. But before starting, I want one thing from you, because anyone here is on diet? None, alhamdulillah. If anyone is on diet, then don't interact with me. Don't answer my questions, because I'll be giving chocolate. Actually, this is the best Swiss chocolate. It's Lind. And I'll be giving chocolate for those who interact with me and answer my questions, okay? I know that you're on diet and you lost a lot of weight. Maybe you can cheat. This is going to be your cheat day, okay? Ahmed is one of our volunteers, by the way, one of the Bridges volunteers. When we found some room in the room, we wanted to fill it up with our volunteers. So this is one. Second, I want every one of you now to imagine himself or herself going back home tonight to find a family at the door of the house. A family, a husband and a wife, and maybe 2 or 3 children. And you tell them, what's up? They tell you, actually, we are a Syrian family. We have our house shelled in Aleppo, and we don't have a place to shelter us. What are you going to do? I believe that the people who will come to a workshop like that to learn how to understand and ponder the Quran are not the kind of people who will put 20 pounds in their hands and close their door. At least you will say, okay, please come in and spend this night with us until we solve your problem tomorrow. And you will find room for them for that night. It's a cold night. You're not going to leave them in the street. But can we find among us anyone who is ready to sacrifice a bit more and tell them, okay, come in, you will live with us until the Syrian problem is solved, and you go back home. You know, the higher the level of iman, the more one is ready to sacrifice his or her pleasures and dunya. Can we find even a higher level of iman than that? Someone among us who will tell them, please come in, you will live with us from now on. From now on, we will split our house with you. I'm sure that many of you now are saying, I really want to go out. Looks like this man that they are bringing is unwell. can anyone be like that? Actually, there was a whole people like that. A whole people were kicked out of their homes, and a whole people received them in their homes with the intentions that they live with them forever. The people who were kicked out of their homes were called the muhajirin in Mecca. And the people who received them in their homes were called the Ansar in Medina. And when they received them, their intentions was that they live with them forever. What is the dalil on this? What is the evidence on this? After 5 years, after the incidents of Banu Nadir, when finally money started to appear in the Muslim community, the muhajirin were given the money that was left by, were confiscated from Banu Nadir when they tried to assassinate the Prophet ﷺ. And they had money, so they were they were able to afford to go out and buy houses or build houses for themselves. So they decided to finally leave the generous hosts, the Ansar, and move out and buy houses. What was the reaction of the Ansar? Did they say, finally, we are going to live comfortably in our houses? No, they broke down and cried. And they said, why do you want to leave us? Why do you want to leave us? Did we do anything wrong to you? And the Ansar said, and the Muhajirin said, no, wallahi, you didn't do anything wrong, but enough is enough. We've been living with you in your houses for 5 years. And they said, no, we must have done something wrong. The question is, why were the Ansar ready to do what we cannot even imagine ourselves doing? What is the difference between us and the Ansar? It's the level of Iman. And of course, many of you now are also wondering about me. I must be unwell. How come I am drawing this comparison between us and the Ansar? Who are us? The question is, why can't I compare us to the Ansar? Aren't they people like us, Muslims like us? Yes, but not like us. Those were people who were disciplined by the Prophet ﷺ. Right or not? Actually, wrong. Because at the moment when they were receiving the muhajirin in their houses, most of them have not yet seen the Prophet yet. The Prophet was nearly the last one to immigrate from Mecca. Only 75 of them saw him for a few minutes under the darkness of the night during Hajj, a year before the Hijrah, in Bay'at al-Aqaba al-Thaniyah, for a few minutes. We know about the Prophet and his teachings and his character 1,000 times more than the Ansar at this point when they were receiving the muhajirin in their houses. Because we have Al-Bukhari and Muslim and Musnad al-Imam Malik, Muwatta, all the books of Sunnah and Seerah. The Ansar haven't even seen him yet until that point. You know, when he arrived to Medina, they asked each other, who among them is Muhammad? Man minhuma Muhammada. They don't know him. Subhanallah. And their iman was much stronger than our iman. Why? What makes their iman stronger than us? There must have been something that they had that we don't have. What did they have but we don't have? One thing, it's the Qur'an. The Ansar had the Qur'an, but we don't have the Qur'an. Of course, many of you are saying, how come? We have lots of Qur'ans. Just in this mosque, at least 1,000 Qur'ans. Excuse me. We have the text of the Qur'an. They had the reality of the Qur'an. The way they dealt with the Qur'an is different from the way we deal with the Qur'an. The way they dealt with the Qur'an allowed the Qur'an to change them, to be better. The way we deal with the Qur'an doesn't allow the Qur'an to change us. We're putting barriers between us and the Qur'an. Last time I was talking about this topic in Egypt before the coup. It was in Al-Azhar University. To Al-Azhar students. And I I asked the students, who among you is a memorizer of Al-Baqarah? And all of them raised their hands, of course. I said, good. In how long did you memorize it? One of them said, 4 days. And someone else said, 4 months. But the average student said 8 weeks. 2 months. You know what I told them? I told them, I wish Abdullah ibn Umar could have been alive today to meet you and tell him how to memorize. Because Abdullah ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab, it took him 8 years to memorize Al-Baqarah. And I'm not talking about any Sahabi. I'm talking about Abdullah ibn Umar, one of the 4 Abduls, Al-Abadil al-Arba'a, the 4 Sahaba whom their name starts with Abdul, and they were scientists. They mastered the sciences of the Quran. It took him 8 years. Actually, it took his father, Umar ibn Khattab, 12 years. Who's right and who's wrong? Who's better? It takes us 8 weeks. Let's understand why. Where was that the case with the Sahaba? To understand this, we need to know how the Prophet ﷺ used to teach the Quran. It's a famous, authentic hadith narrated by several Sahaba. One of them is Uthman ibn Affan, who was also one of the masters of the sciences of the Quran. Uthman ibn Affan said, we used to learn with the Prophet of Allah 10 verses from the Quran, 10 ayat, and we don't exceed them until we learn what they mean and how to apply them in our lives. So 10 verses and stop. Okay, 10 verses, stop. Okay, when can I continue? Stop. Don't exceed 10 verses until you understand them and apply them practically in your life. Then move to the next 10 verses. That's amazing, because that's what the Prophet was. He was a walking Quran, so he wanted to produce a walking Quran generation. It's a generation of walking Quran. Every one of them was an embodiment of the Quran, or at least he tried as much as he can. So the Sahaba, the way they memorized the Quran was slower than ours, because they used to read, understand, ponder, tadabbur, apply, memorize. Read, understand, ponder, apply, memorize. Read, understand, apply, ponder, memorize. We just memorize. So our way is better than the way of the Sahaba in one thing. It makes us memorize quickly. That's it. But it doesn't change us. I'm telling you. In my country, we have people who are memorizers of the whole Quran. And they accepted mass killing, mass massacres, treason, everything, military coups. They accepted these things. Why? Because the Quran did not change them. And that's what the Prophet explained. He said, one day there will be people who will recite the Quran beautifully, but it will not go deeper than their throats. It will not go deeper than the throats. We don't want to be like that. The way we dealt with the Quran, actually, the Prophet ﷺ described, the Quran described it. In Surah Al-Furqan, verse number 30, it says, وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّ إِنَّ قَوْمِي اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. And the messenger said, "O my Lord, my people have dealt with this Quran by deserting it." So we pushed the Prophet ﷺ to go to Allah and complain to Allah from us. He's telling Allah, my Lord, my people have dealt with this Quran by deserting it. They didn't say they deserted the Quran. Astaghfirullah. We did not desert it. We read it. We memorize it. will listen to it. We have contests for the most beautiful voice, most beautiful recitation. But we don't understand it, we don't ponder it, we don't apply it in our lives. That's a crisis. This is a crisis. And we need to change this. Wallahi, this day can be a turning point in your life if you focus with me today. I know it was like too much tension in the beginning of a workshop, and that's wrong. So let me ease things down by a little joke, funny joke. Actually, it's not a joke. It's a true story that happened in my village. I'm Egyptian, that's true. But I'm a villager from a place called As-Sa'id. Sa'id is Upper Egypt, where the people who live are called Sa'idis. The Sa'idis are very nice people, and because they are nice, the rest of the Egyptians make fun of them all the time. We are better than the rest of the Egyptians, by the way, but they keep making fun of us, making jokes about us, that we are primitive, we're naive. I'm not denying that we are a bit naive, but some of us are really extremely naive. And one of my relatives is an ENT doctor. He received a patient complaining from his ear. He has pain in the ear. So by checking his ear, he found that he has inflammation inside. So he gave him a course of antibiotics, 500 milligram capsule every 6 hours. The man came back to him after 2 days complaining that the pain is not better at all. So the doctor said, yeah, that's true, but antibiotic takes 4 to 5 days to be effective. Please continue taking your medicine. The man said, I can't take any more. He said, no, you have to continue taking your medicine. Wallahi, I can't take any more. Come on, continue taking the capsules. Wallahi, I can't take any more. What's that? By checking him, he found that he was putting a capsule in his ear every 6 hours. I'm happy that you laughed. The man was taking the medicine. I like to ponder everything, even jokes. Wallahi. The man was taking the medicine, the right medicine, but the way was wrong, so it did not help him. It didn't help. Allah said, subhanahu wa ta'ala, that this Qur'an is a medicine for the hearts. We send down of the Qur'an what is a healing and mercy to those who believe. Right? And people are reading it. And what happens? It's not healing. They read, still the depression is there. They read, and still the grudges are there. They read, still the laziness is there. They read, and still the envy is there. The hatred is there. The diseases of the heart that the Qur'an should heal is not healing. Why? Because we are using the Qur'an wrongfully, like this man that you just laughed about. Exactly. We are using the antibiotic by putting it in our ears. That's what we have been doing with the Qur'an. That's not. Why did Allah send the Qur'an? Told us. He told us. In Surah Sad, He said, كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ إِلَيْكَ مُبَارَكٌ لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ. A blessed book that we send down to you so that they may ponder its verses. When Allah speaks to a singular second person pronoun, He's speaking to Prophet Muhammad. That we have sent down to you, this means Prophet Muhammad, so that us may ponder its verses. So the Qur'an was sent so that we can ponder its verses. Do we really do that when we read it quickly? I want to tell you something. Many of us are not calling it the Qur'an anymore. Some of us are calling it Abdul Rashid, Sufi. Some call it Afasi. Yeah, you get into the car with someone. What would you like to listen to? Do you have Afasi? Yeah, okay. Turn on Afasi. What exactly for the Afasi? Anything. Anything. Just fancy. Because we are looking for the tunes. We love the tunes. It became tunes. Wrong. I'm telling you, wallahi, that's wrong. That's exactly like that guy from Saeed who has been putting the antibiotic in his ear. It's not helping because of that. Okay? When I read this verse that says that the Quran has been sent down for Muslims to ponder it and to do tadabbur, and I found that we are 1.68, actually we are 1.7 billion Muslims in this world today. I understood that definitely the tadabbur is not in the Arabic. It's not in the language. Why? Because it doesn't make sense. If Allah sends a book, an Arabic book, the Quran is only the Arabic, by the way. It's only the Arabic, wallahi. I swear, I believe that. But it doesn't make sense that Allah sends it to be pondered, and then the pondering is in the language while 90% of the Muslims don't know Arabic. And I tell you something, even the Arabs who know Arabic, don't you ever think that they all understand the Quran? No, believe me. Their level of Arabic and the dialect that they speak is completely different. I'm telling you. I know that there are non-Arab speaking Muslims who learned Arabic to a very good extent, mashallah, and they can read the Quran and understand. But how many are they? One out of every what? Out of 1,000? Are we going to postpone benefiting from the Quran until we master the Arabic? We cannot wait. And in this research that I made, I will prove to you today, I will prove it to you, that you can still ponder the Quran from any language. We just need to know the keys of pondering the Quran. That's why we're here today, to learn together the keys of pondering the Quran. That's a question that always comes to me. Why didn't God explain the Quran? Actually, many people say, so the problems today is because of tafsirs. People have different tafsirs. And why didn't God send it in this ambiguity? Why didn't he do the tafsir by revelation? You know what? The Quran could have been like that. Surah Al-Baqarah, 286 verses. And then the meanings of the words by wahi, by revelation. And then the lessons learned from the surah by wahi. And then exercises by wahi. Don't you think that the Quran could have been clearer? Of course, 1,000 times clearer. But there is one shortcoming in this. We were all going to read it once and solve the exercises. Give me another book. But because of this ambiguity, we keep reading it again and again and again. And every time we read it, we find something new if we ponder. Every time you read, you find something new and you're happy. And it starts affecting you spiritually and mentally. I would like to quote Muhammad Iqbal. This is he's called, in the Arab world, he is called Sha'ir al-Islam, the poet of Islam. Muhammad Iqbal said, the Quran is the book of books. The Quran is a book that can change the world because it can change the human being. And when the human being changes, the world will change. Brothers and sisters, every single book in this world was written in this world for the people of the world to read it. But the Quran is different. The Quran came down on the world. From outside the world, wallahi, when I read this verse, I shiver. تنزيل الكتاب من الله العزيز الحكيم. The bestowal of the book from on high is by Allah the Almighty, the All-Wise. That's a book that was sent down on the world from outside. When Allah told the Prophet in the beginning, in the first day, I am going to send you some revelations, he said, إِنَّا سَنُلْقِي عَلَيْكَ قَوْلًا ثَقِيلًا. We are going to send down on you a heavy word. It's different. Dealing with it should be continuous. It's the healing of the heart. This is the nutrition that you give to yourself. I want to tell you something. Every one of us is called what? Nafs. Nafs. Nafs means self. Oneself. The self or the nafs consists of a physical being, the body, and a spiritual being, a non-physical being, which consists of the heart. When I say the heart, I don't mean the pump that pumps the blood. No, I don't mean this muscle. I mean the container of feelings and the soul. Our problem is that we keep feeding this physical being and giving it the nutrition it needs, and even excess, more than what it needs. And we go to the gym and we give it the rest that it needs and everything, and the medication that it needs. So it grows, it becomes stronger. This body has systems, a reproductive system and a digestive system. Those systems have needs. These needs are called the desires. Those desires, if not controlled, they can destroy us. Who can control them? The non-physical part in us, our feelings and our soul. When we do not feed the non-physical part and we don't give it the medication it needs, it shrinks and it weakens. And when it weakens, we become controlled by the desires. So the desires start to drive the self. What we need to do is to give more nutrition and more medication and strengthen the self, strengthen the non-physical being, so that it can take control and take the wheel and start driving the self. Because when it is weak and the desires are driving us, we become what the Quran called nafs ammara bisu, a nafs, a self that commands us towards evil. When the non-physical part starts to drive and takes control, it becomes nafs lawama, a nafs or a self that reproaches, that reprimands. So the desires ask for something, the self goes like, not now. This you get when you marry. Okay, this, not now. This you get when you work and make money, you're not gonna steal. So it starts controlling the desires. Until this soul and this spiritual being becomes so strong, totally in control, it becomes nafs mutma'inna, a comfortable self, where the desires are totally under control. What is the nutrition for the heart and the soul? Dhikrullah, the dhikr. There are three types of dhikr. Number one is the Qur'an. Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun. Allah said, it is us who send down the dhikr. So the Qur'an is called dhikr, the reminder. What else? Salah. Salah is dhikr. The Quran says, إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر. Salah, words of evil and obscenity, and the dhikr of Allah is greater than evil and obscenity. So the dhikr is the salah. But We spoke about how do we read the Quran? Heedlessly. How do we pray? Also heedlessly. Let's face it. Where's the khushu' in the salah? The Imam says Allahu Akbar and we all go like Allahu Akbar behind the Imam. If Allah makes you able to know what's in the heart or the mind of everyone, you will find this one buying a car, this one is getting married to the one he loves, and this one is actually changing his house with a better house, and this one is looking for a job during the salah. And this one is in the supermarket buying the list of groceries during the salah. And this one is reminding himself that he should not forget the bread because there's no bread for the kids in the morning during the salah. And then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum. People have no clue how many rak'ahs we prayed. Of course 4 because it was Dhuhr. This is the problem. Same goes with the adhkar. Even the adhkar, those who say adhkar, how did they say it? Most of us, heedlessly. If I spill some tea or coffee on someone's clothes, what should I say? Sorry, right? How can I tell him sorry? Like that? Sorry, 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 100 times? You're laughing? Isn't this the way we say astaghfirullah, 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 astaghfirullah? Don't we do that to Allah? You know, Lady Rab'a al-Adawiyya said, Inna istighfarana yahtaju ila istighfar. We need to seek forgiveness from Allah for the way we seek forgiveness from Allah. She considered it as sin in itself. The way we deal with Allah, the way we speak to Allah, the way we converse with Allah. The Qur'an is not a normal book. It's a soul. It's a spirit. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we thus have revealed a spirit to you by our command. It's a spirit. It's not text. What is the difference between a living person and a dead person? This one has a soul, this one doesn't have a soul. That's it. This one has a spirit, this one doesn't have a spirit. So the spirit of the hearts goes into the heart, the dead heart, and makes it and gives it life. The Quran is a spirit that gives life to the dead hearts. Those are non-Arab speaking people that were moved and changed by the Quran. Dr. David Liepert from Calgary, Canada, one of the leaders of the Muslim community in Canada, and actually you should read his book. He has a booklet called Choosing Faith. Amazing. This man is a doctor and he wanted to give Christian da'wah to his fellow Muslim doctors in the hospital. So he said, let me read my book first before I give them Christian da'wah. He said, by the time I finished the Bible, I was out from Christianity, and I was warned always in the church from reading the Quran, because if I read the Quran, I will lose my faith. I read the Quran, I learned what faith is. I tasted the taste of faith for the first time. And this man changed and became one of the leaders of the Muslim community. One moment, in which language did he read the Quran? English. So actually he did not read the Quran. He read the meanings of the Quran, a translation of the Quran that may be 60, 70, 80% accurate. And it guided him. So there is still guidance in the translation. Imam Suhaib Webb. I know I'm a filmmaker and I made 3 films. In 2 of them, Suhaib Webb appeared. And he's a dear friend of mine. And we lived with each other together in Egypt for 6 years. And I'm telling you, Suhaib Webb has a lot of knowledge, mashallah. I consider him maybe one of the most knowledgeable people in the States now, I'm telling you. What was Suhaib Webb before he read the Quran? DJ. He read the Quran, he became Suhaib Webb. I'm telling you. In which language did he read it? English. Not the Arabi, wallahi. English language. I don't know which translation he read. how accurate it is, but still there is guidance in it. Sarah Joseph. You know how she became Muslim? Her brother converted to Islam to get married. She was outraged. And she bought a copy of the Quran to read it and show him that he did a mistake. She read it, she became Muslim. Muhammad Iqbal. I'm not sure if his Arabi was well to the extent that he can read the Quran and understand it or not. But he was moved. He is called the poet of Islam in the Arab world. We call him like that. Cat Stevens, Yusuf Islam, Saeed al-Nurasi, the Turkish. Those are people who changed by the Quran, and they are non-Arab speaking people. It's all about tadabbur. What is tadabbur? The word that came in the ayah that says, كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ إِلَيْكَ مُبَارَكٌ لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ. A blessed book that I have sent down to you so that they may do tadabbur for its ayat, for its verses. What is tadabbur? The tadabbur comes from the word dubur. And the word dubur, guess what it means? Back. Your back is called your dubur. Tadabbur, and the backs are called dubur because it comes after you. You walk and then comes your back. So tadabbur Qur'an is what comes after reading the Qur'an and understanding the Qur'an. You read, okay, you understood, fine. Do tadabbur now. What comes next? Tadabbur. There are two types of tadabbur. A spiritual tadabbur and an intellectual tadabbur. Those are the two types that we will learn together, inshallah, how to practice. The spiritual tadabbur is practiced through the heart. Intellectual tadabbur is through reason. Both of them are important, but I'm telling you, the spiritual tadabbur can really save you from the diseases of the heart. Among them is depression. I know that there is something called chemical depression. I'm not telling anyone to stop antidepressants, by the way, and do that. I'm not telling you this. But I have one case that stopped antidepressants through the spiritual tadabbur. Okay? It's easy, by the way. It won't take from us now like a few minutes to explain it. But it's very important that you practice this for about an hour every day. You know, if you go out in the street and you ask any Christian about Christianity, he will definitely tell you Jesus died for us because of the original sin. We as Muslims believe the opposite. We believe that we don't have an original sin. There is an original goodness in us. Allah gave us good hearts that are sound and ready to submit by nature. But there's one problem with these hearts. They die if they are not charged. Like your mobile battery, it dies every day if you don't put it on the charger for about an hour. This spiritual tadabbur is the charger of the heart. You have to put it on the charger, your heart, put it on the charger for about an hour every day. I even suggest half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening. Don't stay for 24 hours away from the Quran. It's too much. Too much. You eat 3 meals. And actually, many of us charge twice a day, right? The mobiles. Yeah, charge your heart twice a day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Will they not ponder the Quran, or are there locks upon their hearts? So this says that the heart has something to do here with the tadabbur. and the intellectual tadabbur. Allah said, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. Do they not ponder the Qur'an? Had it been from any other than Allah, they would have found in it much discrepancy, which means that people should also reason, do text reasoning. Okay? But let's talk about the spiritual tadabbur. Who attended Brother Nu'man Ali Khan's lecture yesterday? Good. I turned it on yesterday. I couldn't come, but I watched a bit of it, and I found that he explained the last 10 verses from Surah Al-Furqan. And he spoke about Ibadur Rahman. It's a group of people called the worshippers of Ar-Rahman. And he spoke about the 12 characteristics of Ibadur Rahman, right? Among them is this one. وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِّرُوا بِآيَاتِ رَبِّهِمْ لَمْ يَخِرُّوا عَلَيْهَا صُمًّا وَعُمْيَانًا. And those who, when reminded of the revelations of their Lord, they do not fall before them deaf and blind. Which means they interact with the verses of the Qur'an. They don't just read it quickly, heedlessly like that. No. Ibadur Rahman are people who don't fall deaf and blind when they are reminded with the verses of Allah. It means they interact with it. This is the spiritual tadabbur. How? Simply by turning the verses of the Qur'an into dua. You are reading a verse from the Qur'an. You came across the mention of paradise. Don't continue. Stop and ask Allah, paradise. You came across the mention of hellfire. Don't continue, stop. And ask Allah to save you from hellfire. You came across mentioning a group of good people like the believers, al-mu'mineen, or al-muhsineen, those who excel in doing good, or al-muttaqeen, those who are mindful of Allah. Don't continue. Stop and keep asking Allah to be one of those people. You came across the mention of a group of bad people like al-zalimeen, the unjust people, or the fasiqeen, the defiantly disobedient people, or the munafiqeen, the hypocrites. Don't continue. Stop and keep asking Allah in your heart to save you from being one of those people. Yeah, but this will take time. I want to finish the Qur'an quickly. I am actually in a race with my cousins. These are the silly reasons that makes us not ponder the Qur'an. Yeah, but I want to do a quick khatma. Who told you to do khatma even? Wallahi, we are nearly coming up with a new religion like that. Okay, let me tell you this. Where was the khatma mentioned in the Sunnah? Authentic hadith. Abdullah ibn Amr asking the Prophet, in how long should I do khatma of the Qur'an? The Prophet told him, 40 days. He said, no, I can do better than that, please. Okay, 1 month. He said, no, please, more. I can do better than that. He said, 10 days. He said, no, please, I can do better than that. The Prophet said, a week. No, please, three days. So he said, I can do better than that. The Prophet reprimanded him. He said, in less than 3 days, you will not understand it. What was the first advice, which is the best advice? The Prophet would always give like the best advice in the beginning, right? 40 days. For who? Abdullah ibn Amr, whom his wife came complaining that he is not dealing with her or the children, or they don't even have any visitors visiting them because he is all the time reading the Quran and worshipping Allah. So we're talking about someone who gives like 16 to 20 hours every day to worship. He doesn't do it. He's worshiping all the time. The Prophet told him, Inna li nafsika alayka haqqan. Yourself has a right on you to give it some rest. وَإِنَّ لِأَهْلِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا. And your family have rights on you. The issue is, this person who was completely dedicated for the Quran, one of the 4 Abduls who mastered the sciences of the Quran, the Prophet told him to read the Quran every 40 days, which means less than 1 juz will take from him like 10 to 12 hours. How long for an ayah? Believe me, it's like 5 to 10 minutes for the ayah. The ayah takes exactly 2 seconds from us. That's why it's not working. It's not working. 2 seconds. Quickly, 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 quickly. And then in Ramadan, I did 5 khatmas, I did 6 khatmas, I did 7 khatmas. Believe me, that's a new religion. Not the religion of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam at all. We are not in a hurry. If you are going to read the Quran in a hurry, you cannot ponder it. Take your time. Let's take an example. I am now someone who doesn't know Arabi at all, okay? I'll pretend to be not knowing Arabi and I will read it in English. And let's see if I can ponder it or not. And obey Allah and the Messenger that you may obtain mercy. And raise towards... No, that's believe me, that's too quick. Stop at the end of the verse. And look what it said. And obey Allah and the Messenger that you may obtain mercy. Who's giving you this order? Allah is giving you a command. Receive it with your heart. Ya Rab, Ya Rab. Oh Allah, make me among those who receive your mercy. Deep in my heart I will say that. So when I read that, so that you may receive mercy, so may you obtain mercy. Deep in my heart I will say, oh Allah, make me among those who will obtain mercy. And raise towards forgiveness from your Lord and a garden as wide as the heavens and the earth, prepared for those who are mindful of God. Don't move to the next. Take your time. Look at the verse, how beautiful it is. Gardens with as wide as the heaven and the earth. Oh Allah, make me among those who go to Jannah. Oh Allah, make me among the muttaqeen. Make me among the mindful. Make me among those who are mindful of you. Ya Rab, make me among them. This is what heals the heart. This is how you interact with the Quran. Those who give in prosperity and adversity, and those who restrain anger, and those who forgive mankind, and Allah loves those who excel in doing good. Oh my, can you imagine what was said now? Allah loves those who excel in doing good. How come you don't stop and keep asking Allah to be among them? Allah is telling you, I love that group. How come you continue? Stop. This should like bring the tears to your eyes. Oh Allah, make me among those that you love. Make me among the muhsineen. Make me among those who excel in doing good. Deep inside you read it and you start interacting. This is what the verse in Surah Al-Furqan meant. وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِّرُوا بِآيَاتِ رَبِّهِمْ. And those whom when they are reminded with the verses of their Lord, they do not fall deaf and blind. Which means they interact with it. Those, the reward is forgiveness from their Lord and gardens beneath which rivers flow, abiding therein forever. How good is the reward of the workers. Ya Rab, make me among them. Ya Rab, make me among those whom you forgive. Many societies have passed away before you, so travel the earth and note the fate of the disbelievers. You get alerted. Now Allah is telling you something important. Okay, very important. This is a proclamation to humanity and guidance and advice for those who are mindful of God. It's like you're receiving commands now. You're like in an army receiving instructions. Yeah, okay. I'm receiving this with my heart now. And do not waver nor grieve. You are the superior ones if you are believers. I would not waver. I'm not going to. You receive it. Receive every word of the Quran with your mind, with your heart. Interact with it. You come across verses that talk about the hypocrites. Ask Allah not to be of them. Who knows? Who knows? You come across a verse that talks about hellfire. Stop and ask Allah not to be one of them. Okay? And then we will talk now about the intellectual tadabbur. But we have only 5 minutes left for the break, right? Yeah. Let me take during those 5 minutes the questions from you. so that when we come back, we just start with the intellectual tadabbur. Any question? Ladies first. You know it's a sunnah that when I say ladies first? How? How come? The Prophet ﷺ said, give privileges to women. Istawsu bin nisa'i khayran. So, ladies first. Any question? The good thing, yeah.
I know a sister who, when she listens to the Qur'an, she only listens to Imam Hussein. And always, her reason is that he's so slow that he gives him time to ponder.
That he is what?
That he's so slow
Ah.
that he gives him time to ponder.
Yeah.
Is that a good reason to listen to the Qur'an?
That's a very good question. The lady said she knows a sister who only listens to Imam al-Husari, and she said, I do that because he reads slowly, giving me time to ponder. Number one, Imam al-Husari is the legend. That's what the reciter said, by the way. He's the legend of the Quran because in his mushaf, in his recitation, there isn't one mistake. Many of the very famous, beloved reciters have mistakes that you cannot see it, but some technicians can know it. Some of them reach like 200 in their mushaf, by the way. So this is the legend of recitation, Husari. And it's true that when I do tadabbur, I should listen to someone who recites slowly. Abdul Basit, Abdul Samad is even slower than the Husari. That's why I listen to Abdul Basit only, not the Husari, because he's even slower, even though Husari is better. But when it comes to choose someone who reads slowly, that's good. But even the slowest one, like Imam Abdul Basit, Abdul Samad, is too fast for tadabbur. So I have to pause every verse. After he reads it, I pause still, because there's no time. You need time. You need time. And this sister is not wrong. She's good. That's right. But that's not enough for tadabbur. If this sister is here today, by the way, she will start stopping Imam al-Husari after every verse to do tadabbur. Okay? That's a very good question. Thank you. Who else? Wa alaykum as-salam. I can hear you, Allah.
So, for those of us who don't understand Arabic to read Arabic, do you recommend any particular translation? Because I know some of the older translations are very sort of Shakespearean in their style and very hard to.
I will speak about the translations at the end of this workshop. I don't want to burn the news for you now, okay? But I'm going to talk about it at the end of the workshop. And yes, I will talk about the translation and how the translation can affect your tadabbur, your intellectual tadabbur. But your spiritual will not be affected still by how good is the translation, okay? Jazakallah khair. What's your name, Akhi?
Parvez.
Huh?
Parvez.
Parvez, okay. Jazakallah khair. Huh? A sister, yes.
Would you recommend when reciting the Quran that you use a translation alongside it? Or?
Yes, of course. If your Arabi is not 100%, use the translation. Even us, people who read Arabi, we use tafsir also to understand it, by the way. So yes, of course, you should. Yeah. Yes. One moment. Yes,
would you recommend starting from Al-Baqarah, or would you recommend a selection of passages?
Neither nor. Starting from Al-Fatiha.
Or Al-Fatiha?
Yeah. That's a good question. Some people say, from where should I start? Can I read it chronologically? No. Read it as Allah sent it. Allah accepted at the end for us. Yes, it wasn't sent like that, I know, but at the end, all the 23 years of different passages here and there were put all together in that order, and the Prophet ﷺ have done something called al-ardatain, which is he like revised the Quran twice like that. Okay, so I recommend that you read it all the way from the beginning, and today you will see that some verses that you never expected them to inspire you will inspire you when you learn how to do tadabbur. Instructional verses that you never thought that there would be any inspiration in them, you will find inspiration today, inshallah. Yes, sister.
You talked about nafs mutma'inna.
About what?
Nafs mutma'inna.
Yes.
How to get to that. And my question is, as humans, our feet will go up and down, right? Is tadabbur the way to keep that nafs mutma'inna for the rest of your life?
Okay, I said it, but I said it again. If we do not give enough nutrition and medication for our non-physical part, the soul and the heart, okay? It shrinks and it weakens. And like that, the desires are controlling and we become nafs ammara bisu, nafs that commands towards obscenity and evil. When we strengthen the non-physical part of us by giving nutrition, which is tadabbur qur'an and salah with khushu' and doing dua and adhkar with pondering and understanding, okay? Not just heedlessly, we start strengthening the non-physical part of us so that it can control the desires. When the desires are controlled, we become nafs lawwama, which is nafs that is reprimanding when the desire starts to desire evil things. And then when your non-physical part completely takes control, it becomes nafs mutma'inna, because you are giving fuel. You have to keep giving fuel every day. If you don't eat for a day, you feel weak. You have to read the Quran every single day. Yeah, some women say, yeah, but some days we can't read the Quran. Why? Because there's some days when we don't pray. Yeah, if you don't pray, but you don't read the Quran, you read the Quran. How come? How come you stay for a whole week or more without doing dhikr, without reading the Quran? Read the Quran, but not from the Mus'haf. You just, there's an iPad, there's an iPhone, there's a lot of things. Okay? One more question here. One woman now. We have to equate. You're next, and then we will end with your question.
To do tadabbur, is translation enough, or do we read the tafsir as well?
No, again.
To do tadabbur, the Quran, do we need to, is it translation enough, or do we?
I will talk about that now. This is the intellectual tadabbur. The type of tadabbur that I spoke about, the spiritual tadabbur, you don't need any tafsir for it. You just need to understand what you're saying. Okay? But the intellectual, the tadabbur, we will speak about it right now. Don't worry. After the break. The last question will be from the sister. Wa alaikum assalam. Wait for the microphone.
How important would you say is tajweed in doing tadabbur, learning tajweed?
Okay. Tajweed is very important for the spiritual tadabbur, not the intellectual tadabbur. But for the spiritual tadabbur, it's very important for those who read Arabi, who understand our reading in Arabi. It's of course it's better. But still, without it, and even those who are reading in English, they can still do tadabbur. Okay? Jazakumullah khairan, barakallahu fikum.